Welcome back to the channel. This is the IPP Education Hub. If you are considering an IPP implant or you are partnering somebody through their IPP process and you have questions about the journey, then you have come to the right place. In this video, I want to talk about what to expect the first time that you use your IPP. Now, this is a very exciting time because you've gone through everything that was the lead up to the surgery, you've had the surgery, and now you've probably gone through some recovery and you're starting to feel better, and you've been given the green light by your doctor to pump up your IPP. I'm going to share a little bit more about what my experience was like in hopes that it helps you in case you're going through the same. One of the first challenges that I had was sort of locating the pump inside of my scrotum, as well as this element of not wanting to be too rough with the implant or not knowing exactly how rough I could be with it. After all, you go through so much leading up to getting the implant and then to go through with it, and you're finally at this point, and the last thing that you want to do is do something that could potentially damage the device, especially if you've never used it before and you don't know what you're doing. For myself, having the Coloplast Titan One Touch, I know that it was very firm in the beginning, but over time, I can definitely say that it became much easier to inflate my device utilizing the pump that's inside of my scrotum. Not only am I more comfortable with its placement and how to work it and use it, but also the ball itself feels like I can press it a little bit more easily. And when I go to deflate it, that also feels much easier as well. Now, I'd like to share a tip that you should be in a calm and relaxed environment when pumping up your IPP for the first time. It is going to be a bit unnerving, and your body will start to respond in a way that it never has. And so in this moment, it's important to stay calm, stay relaxed, and don't pressure yourself with any sort of expectation of what should be happening. I might also suggest that it's worth considering pumping up your implant for the first time on your own versus, say, with a partner, because then if you get frustrated, that can sort of end up on a path that you just don't want to be on. And in my experience, I believe that just being in a calm environment by yourself, where you can familiarize yourself with your anatomy and how your body works, is going to be the best bet when it comes to using it for the first time. When pumping up your IPP for the first time, you might be able to get upwards of 10 or more pumps, maybe upwards of 20 pumps when actually filling up the implant. Keep in mind that this number is likely to change over time. These days, I usually can pump up in much less, usually 5 or 6 pumps. And it's at that point that I'm also feeling a little bit more aroused and relaxed around the situation. Now, when I first started using the IPP, it didn't necessarily feel natural. You can feel sort of the implant in your body, but over time, I believe that it's become much more natural and relaxed, and it's become much more easy to pump up and also deflate. Another tip that I would probably give to my past self or to anybody who's watching this video is to recognize that your first few times using the device may not be perfect or quite amazing or everything that you expected it to be after watching these videos and then getting an IPP and you're pumping it up for the first time. The truth is that your body is still going through changes. The implant itself is still getting used to your body and vice versa. And it's going to take a little bit of time for these things to come together and work as intended. But I can speak for myself in saying that as that time progressed and you're using it more, that it feels much more natural and comfortable than it will the first time that you pump it up and use it. Now, if your doctor has also given you the green light to resume sexual function as well as just pumping it up, then I will also share my experience in that the first time that I was intimate after getting the implant, it wasn't necessarily very enjoyable. I mentioned in another video that at this point, you have a lot of the nerves and a lot of the tissue in your body that is still recovering. And as those things are sort of still adjusting to your new anatomy, for myself, I'll just say that it wasn't very comfortable and it took some getting used to. However, it's gotten much better over time. And I've spoken to a lot of men who can attest to the same. If you're struggling in the very beginning stages of getting your pump working, then that's okay. Again, know that you're not alone. Some other tips that I would maybe recommend are to consider pumping up your device in the mirror. That way you can look at yourself and kind of see how you are adjusting your anatomy. And that might give you a different perspective that will help versus, say, just looking down as you're trying to figure it out. Another tip is that your doctor is likely going to tell you that you need to inflate and deflate at least 3 to 4 times during those first few weeks after getting the green light. And you're going to want to make sure that you're doing that as often and for as long as you possibly can. When I first started pumping up, I would do so for about 45-minute stretches. I would leave it inflated, and that is what they suggest that you consider doing so that your body can get used to being in that state. Now, at the 45-minute mark, my body was absolutely ready to deflate, and so at this point, I recommend to make sure that you are fully deflating so that also your body can see that side of things and that your body can get used to what that feels like just as much to what it feels like being fully inflated. And listen, I get it. You're going to have moments where the pain hurts and you're not going to want to pump up, but I would just advocate that pumping up and cycling your device is going to benefit you. And even in those moments where you feel like not doing it, just do your best to do it because it's going to be beneficial in the long run. So in summary, I would say that when the time comes that you first use your implant, just recognize and be patient with yourself because it is a little bit of a learning curve. But the more that you stick with it, the more that the device becomes more malleable, the more that your body becomes more familiar with what's going on, the more natural and intuitive the entire process is going to feel. Now, if you consider also working to climax during that first inflate and pump, if you've been given the green light by your doctor, then just know that you might be experiencing a little bit of pain as the muscles and tissues inside of your genitalia are sort of getting used to the way that your body is now. And so if you're still experiencing pain, or maybe you're at a point where you are inflating, but it's not quite amazing yet, then give it some more time. Recognize that you are absolutely not alone and be patient, because the more that your body heals and the more that your body becomes used to the implant, the better it will become. And once you get to that point where you feel fine, it's at that juncture that you'll feel more natural and enjoyable moving forward. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel and turn on those notifications so that you are in the loop every single time I release a new video here at the IPP Education Hub. As always, thank you for watching. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others.